Good morning, welcome to TotallyBeads Live. How are you doing today? It's Monday again already. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some very easy little wire wrap bangles and matching rings. And we're using some lovely little crystals. And we've also got a bundle offer on for you as well. If you can't decide which colour you want, you can get lots because they're an absolute bargain, but you can get the bundle as well. So drop me a comment, let me know where you're watching from, what have you been doing this weekend, what have you got in store for the week ahead, and what are you making more importantly. Good morning to Rachel. She says good morning from Barrow in Furness on this bright day, and good morning to Francis as well, who says good morning to everybody. I don't know whether our lovely Lucy will be joining us today. I don't think she's too well still, so we are sending you lots and lots of love. If you need anything, do pop a Q in front if it's a question, and I'll do my best to try and find that and identify it and answer it for you. If you've got any tips, pop a T in the front. Generally just have a little bit of a chit chat with me and let me know how you're doing. Good morning to Teresa. Hello to Kath. She says good morning Natalie and everybody, and our lovely Anne is in as well. She says good morning Natalie and everybody. So I'm going to take you over to the website in just a second so you can see these absolute beautiful deals that we've got on for you today. They are a really simple make, so if you're new to wire work or you're just looking for a nice easy but very pretty project, then this is a good one to get you going. Good morning to Birgit. She says good morning Natalie and all the lovely people in here. Amelia's in as well, and Karen has popped in too, so good morning to you all, or good afternoon depending on where you're watching from, or good evening if it's in the middle of the evening or night time. So over we go to the website. I'm taking you over to totallybeads.co.uk, and you can find our video tutorial sections just here. I'm hoping my phone and my camera stand's going to behave a bit better today, but do bear with me if it's still playing up. So into the video tutorial category, and we are doing the beautiful Delia bracelets and rings. So I started off doing a ring, but all you need to do is just make it larger or make it smaller, and they are adjustable as well. So they make lovely gifts if you're not sure of somebody's ring size or even your own ring size. What's great about these is, our fingers do change shape. They, can expand in the heat and in the summer, or just if, like me, you've had a weekend of a little bit of indulgence. So these are really good and really comfortable, and you can adjust them as you wish. So the Delia bracelets and rings today, you can see we've got lots of lovely colours for you, and we've also got a crystal bead mix pack on offer as well. So I'll show you the bracelets and then I'll show you the crystal bead mix if you are wanting to add more colours to your collection. That's easily done. So we've got the beautiful baby blue. They are £6.50. You're getting a bracelet and a ring. I'm not too sure, but I'd imagine with the majority of materials you're getting in this, you might even be able to make 2 sets out of these. So you're going to get loads and loads in your kit for just £6.50. So we've got the baby blue, we've got the baby pink KB, we've got a beautiful lavender, we've got an opal sea, which is gorgeous, absolutely stunning colour. We've got a root beer, which is a very beautiful deep red, and we've also got that spring green for you. So I will go into, let's have a little look at baby blue to begin with. So you can see in your kit, it does make 2 sets. That's your ring and your bracelet up. You're going to get a whole spool of your 0.8mm wire. You're getting a whole spool of your 0.4 weaving wire, and you're getting a full long string of your 4mm round crystals. That is all you need. Mainly tool-wise, wire cutters, your round nose pliers, chain nose, maybe if you've got some wire straighteners, but most of this is done by shaping with your hand, really easy. So this is the bracelet and that is the little ring. As I say, it is adjustable, so you can wear that as a thumb ring, you can put it on whichever finger you like. Very pretty. £6.50 for the baby blue. We've also got this gorgeous baby pink KB, very sparkly and very pretty. So that is the set. This is me wearing the ring. And that is your gorgeous bracelet. I will show you them down on the mat so you can see the colours a little bit better, because they can look a little bit washed out sometimes when I take them under the ring like these photographs. We've also got a beautiful lavender. I really do like this colour. It's very unusual. It's very, very lovely. Everything you need in your kit, just 2 gauges of wire, your 0.8 and your 0.4, and those beautiful 4mm round crystals. So that one is your lavender. We've got this opal C, which is very, very pretty. So that is your bracelet. Again, your bangle is also adjustable, so you can shape that to whichever size wrist you prefer. And you're getting so much of the wire and the crystals, you can adjust the length by adding a little bit length of the wire wrap at the back, or you could add more crystals onto the front of your bracelet. This is the root beer. Very, very pretty. So that is your bangle and your ring. I am whizzing through this today because I want to show you that gorgeous mixed crystal bundle as well. And you've got your gorgeous spring green, really very, very pretty. So all I'm doing is just adjusting the length and adjusting the amount of crystals that I use there. For the bracelet, I'm using around 30 pieces of your crystals, and for the ring, I'm using 12. But again, you can make that larger or smaller if you want to. You can just pop that against your ruler so you can see how much you're getting in terms of your inches, in terms of size. They're a very straightforward make. So that one is your spring green. If I show you this wonderful bundle though, if there's something there that you think, oh, I love them, but I wish it was this colour, then get yourself this 10x4mm crystal beads mix pack. It's an absolute bargain. It should be £15 and it's been reduced to £9.99. On each string, you're getting 90 to 100 beads. So as I'm saying, I'll use a 30 on average for a bracelet and 12 for a ring. You can see just how many you're going to get out of one string, and you're getting loads and loads of strings in there as well. So you're getting 10 of your 4mm crystal string packs there, and they are absolutely beautiful. You're going to get all sorts of different colours. They may vary, but you can see we've got an abundance of choice. So there's definitely going to be something in that lovely bundle that might take your fancy, that we haven't already put together in these kits for you. I do love a bundle. I know you do too. So £9.99 for that 4mm crystal bead bundle mix pack, or just £6.50 for 2 bangles and 2 rings in one of those lovely colours for you. So let me see which ones you've been liking the most and say hello to you all. Mina's in. Thank you so much, Mina. You're going to be helping me today and sharing the links if needed. Good morning to Trish. Hello to Robin. She says, good morning, Lady Natalie. I hope you had a wonderful anniversary dinner. Which earrings did you settle on wearing? I will share a picture because I wore the black ones that we made on Friday. It was lovely. It was really, really lovely. Felt very relaxed. We did a beautiful spa on the Saturday when we got there. Lots of lovely pools and saunas and things like that. It was really, really nice. Then we went and had a lovely meal together, a couple of drinks. I wore my lovely earrings. I felt very special. It was lovely. And then yesterday we did a little bit of retail therapy. So I've got a wedding coming up in a couple of weeks, and I haven't been to a wedding for years. And I've got lots of lovely dresses, but nothing really fits me anymore. So I bought a new dress. gorgeous. So I might be making some more jewellery in the next few weeks to wear alongside that. But thank you very much for asking, Robin. I had a very lovely weekend. Good morning to Margaret. She's going to catch up later. She's taking mum to the dentist with a broke tooth. I hope that gets fixed. Good morning to Rachel. She says she was at my great nephew's christening yesterday and a lovely family get together. How wonderful. Thank you, Mina, for being with us. She says here, I'm going to be a helper today. Bear with me. She's in the office as well, so she's multitasking. Mina, thank you so much. Good morning to Nicole. She says, hi, Natalie. Early AM in Oregon. So happy to catch the live this time. I'm looking forward to a new wire project. Really easy, Nicole. You're going to absolutely smash this. It's going to be a very easy one for you. Good morning to Sharon. How are you doing? Mina shared the link, so if you're wondering where to find us today, totallybeads.co.uk/Facebook-tutorials/Delia-crystal-bangle and ring. Thank you very much for sharing that, Mina. That is the link for the kit today. We've also got the lovely Camille in. She says, I hope everyone's had a lovely weekend. Anna's in as well. She says, good morning, everybody. Hope you've had a wonderful day. Camille, if you do speak to Lucy, I'm going to give her a call just after the live and just check she's all right. But if you speak to her before I do, send her my love and everybody else's, because we're all missing her. Angela says she almost missed me. Morning from a very wet far. Hello to Jackie. Hello to Carol. Mina says, I've got to get a few of these bundles. Good morning to Elaine. Don't worry for being late. You're not that late at all. We've not really done anything. I've shown you the website for these lovely earrings that we're doing. Lovely rings and bangles that we're doing. I mean, you're getting that much in your kit. You could probably make earrings out of them too. Good morning to Gwen. Hello to Sharon, who says the ring would look lovely as earrings as well. They would. I did make a little pair and thought I'll make them smaller and I'll make them as an earring. I will probably show you how to do that as well, because you're getting so much in your kit. We might as well make the most of it. Good morning to Patricia. She says good morning to you, Natalie, and the Beading family. And hello to Kim K, who says good morning, everybody, today. And Norma's in as well. Hi, I've only just found you today, recovering from mumps and a chest infection. So she's looking forward to just chilling and watching. So just relax, enjoy us, and get making if you're feeling up to it. Hello to Denise, and everybody sending Lucy well wishes. Right, let me take you down on the mat so you can see these gorgeous colours that we've got. Obviously, if you get that bundle, you can do whichever colours you want and you can make a mix as well. I'm wearing at the moment the root beer one. So if you can see, it's a very deep red and they're very, very sparkly. And it's lovely because I can just adjust it by giving it a little press to my size. And we know I've got small wrists, so you can make them larger or smaller. The back will just curl like this. So that is your root beer. And this is the ring in root beer as well. Because they're adjustable, you can pop them on any finger. They're very, very comfortable. You almost forget you've got them on, and you can just slide them on and off like you would any other ring or any other bangle. So that is your root beer colour. Show that up to the light a little bit better. Good evening, SC. She says good morning from Shell in Brisbane, Australia. And Mina saying the bundle is great. The colours you get are absolutely brilliant. They will be a mix. So I'm not going to say you're going to get this, that and the other, because you'll just get some absolute beauties. This one is that gorgeous baby blue. And it really is the most gorgeous kind of sky blue colour. It's lovely. Little curls at the end of your bangle. So you can make that as large as you want. You can either wrap this section for a little bit longer, or you can add more of your crystals on. You're getting a full reel of both wires, the 0.8 and the 0.4. So you can do, as large or small as you want. They'd also, I think, make lovely children's bangles as well, because you often struggle to kind of size them for children. And something like this, with it being adjustable, is very easy to do. Camille says, I feel another wire gems project coming up. And good morning to Janice as well. So that is your bangle and your ring. Again, it's exactly the same. It's just smaller. So if you wanted to, you could turn these into earrings as well. I'd just turn those loops up at the end and attach a little jump ring to them. Probably make them a little bit smaller. They'd be very, very pretty as earrings too. This is the gorgeous spring green. So I'm using a lovely kind of light gold wire on some and the silver on others. That one is your spring green and your ring as well. We've got this very pretty pink. Let me get a bit of focus on that. I'm a little bit too close. There you go. Really gorgeous soft colour. And they're so sparkly as well. If I give that a little bit of a twist, you can see those gorgeous facets just making it absolutely sparkle. Really gorgeous summer project. Again, this is your ring. We've got this beautiful lavender colour, and I'm hoping, I mean, they do look a little darker here. They've got like a matte finish to them, and they're just beautiful. Again, this is your ring, so you could wear it on whichever finger, and you can adjust that to size. And then we've got this absolutely gorgeous one, which I think I am going to demo with. I'll demo the ring for this. This is Opal Sea, and it's like a silvery grey. It's just beautiful. Very elegant, really easy to make, and very easy wear jewellery as well. So I'm going to start making the ring, and then I'll give you the dimensions for the bracelet. And if you've got any questions whatsoever, do just ask. So I'm going to start with I think I'll start with the ring, and I'll do the root beer colour, because it's this lovely kind of very deep red. And I'm going to use that with the light gold coloured wire. So for a ring, I'm going to cut 2 lengths at 10 centimetres of the 0.8 wire. So I'm just going to straighten that through my fingers or through my nylon pliers. I'm going to take it straight off the reel, and I'm going to cut 2 lengths at 10 centimetres. So I'm just going to hold that up against my ruler. And if you need to adjust, you can cut a little bit longer, but because they open up at the back, they are adjustable. So I think regardless of the ring size, you would prefer 10 centimetres or 2 lengths at 10 centimetres of the 0.8 is going to be enough for you. I'm then going to cut 2 lengths of the 0.4, and I'm cutting that at 25 centimetres each. So we've got 20 centimetres in total of the 0.8 cut in half, and we'll have 50 centimetres of the 0.4. So again, I'm just running that through my fingers. There's a little tiny kink in it there, but it doesn't really matter. Just want it fairly straight, just to make sure there's no major bumps and kinks in it. So I'm going to cut another 2 lengths of the 0.4 wire, and I'm cutting that at 25 centimetres. So we've got beautiful colour remain wire for you. It is copper, and it is coated in either your gold colour or your silver. And that colour will remain on it for a long time. It doesn't wear off easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm using these 2 lengths as one. So I'm not doing any major like kind of weaving. I'm literally just doing some wrapping. But if you wanted to, you could weave a band with this on the shank, which is this part of the ring. But I'm just going to be wrapping it over. So for a ring, I'm going to use about 12 of my little crystals in total. You're using them in pairs, so you want to have an even number. because I'm going to be adding 2 on at a time. So I'm just going to open up my string here. So I've got 12 little beautiful root beer colour, deep red. It's almost kind of like a garnet colour. They're very lovely. And I'm going to hold my 2 lengths of the 0.8 together. So I'm going to line them up so they're running parallel, so next to each other, like this. And I'm going to start to wrap these 2 lengths together of the 0.4 wire. I'm going to start in about 1.5 centimeters from the end. So I'm just going to get my ruler and I'm going to position that around there, because this is what I'm going to use for the curls at the end. So about 1.5 centimeters up from the end of the wire, I'm going to just give it a little pinch there to hold it in place. And I'm going to use my 2 lengths of the 0.4 together. So I'm just going to pop a little tail end over and give it a little bend so I can keep it in place. And I'm just going to smooth this through my fingers, because what I want to do is I want to start wrapping this round together, and I'm using it as one wire. So I don't want them to kind of overlap. I don't want them to cross over. It can be a little bit fiddly when you first start because it will slide up and down, but I'm just going to hold that quite taut, and I'm just going to keep checking. You can see there at the back, they're not crossing over, they're not overlapping. I'm just going to start positioning that round. And if it slid up a bit, that's okay. Just have a little look on your ruler. You can always move it up again once you've attached it. So I've got it at about 1.5 centimeters up from the end of that 0.8 wire. And I'm just using 2 of those 0.4 pieces together to just wrap it round. So I'm just wrapping, pulling it fairly taut, giving it a little smooth each time, just to make sure that these 2 wires don't cross over and that my wraps are neat. So I'm essentially just coiling this wire round. You'll see I kind of do it in halves. So I bring it up, over, and then up to the back again. Just going to wrap that round. And I'm going to wrap about 1 centimeter of wraps. And this is just going to start forming my shank and holding those wires together. When you've got a good little length starting, you can then, if you want, just neaten this up and trim off your ends. So you can see I'm not really using my tools at the moment, just my fingers. I'm just going to bring them round. I'm going to trim off this starting tail, and I'm going to trim it off at the top of these wires. So I'm going to come in with my cutters and just trim them little ends off. I'm trimming just so when I squish them down that they should just cover the top. I'm going to trim a little bit more off because I want that to kind of sit in the middle. So that's going to be at the top of my ring shank. It's not going to catch on anything. I'm just sticking that down really well, just so it doesn't catch and it's comfortable when I wear it. So all I'm doing is just bringing those 2 wires around and using them as one wire. And I'm going to measure against my ruler. I've got about 1 centimeter there. And that will be enough, I think, for my ring. Now I can start adding on my crystals. I'm just going to give this a little press down, a little bit of a compression. So all I'm doing is just making sure that that's nice and neat and it's sitting flat against that ring. So I've took 2 lengths of my 0.8 wire at 10 centimeters. I've started to wrap 1.5 centimeters up for the end, and I've wrapped for about 1 centimeter. Now I'm going to leave these 2 wires dangling from the bottom, nice and straight, still not crossing over. And I'm going to open these 2 out ever so slightly so I can start popping on my gorgeous crystals. So I always put one on the top first, and then I'll bring another one in. So I put them on 2 at a time along the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire, these two 0.4 wires, and I'm going to bring it up. So what it will do is if I turn it over, it will sit in between both of those crystals. And then when I bring it round the front, I'm just going to position these wires together again so they're running fairly parallel. I'm just going to catch those two crystals with that wire and bring it back up to the top. And then I'm going to add on my next two crystals. So I'm going to do this. So I've added on, I'm going to use about 12 crystals, but if you want, you can add more or less on. So sliding on the crystal onto the top and pushing that right down, and then adding one onto the bottom. So the crystals become slightly staggered. The wire at the back then goes in between both of those crystals and down the front, just to catch them in place and back up to the top again. So these two wires are always running next to each other. They're not crossing over, and they're just creating a little bit of detail between those crystals. Good morning, Debbie. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. We are just making a lovely little adjustable Delia ring. We'll make a matching bangle as well. And I'm using 2 gauges of wire and some beautiful 4mm crystals. So on with the next two. Again, I'm just flipping it over so I can see that that's sitting in between. And then catching them both together. So each time I put them on, the crystals, I put the top one on first. I just sliding that onto the 0.8 wire, and I push it down against that last little wrap, just so they're sitting nice and tightly, nice and snugly. Add on the bottom one. So 2 crystals on at a time, and they will be slightly staggered. So they're not sitting directly underneath each other, they're just sitting next to each other. The wire goes in between them at the back and next to them at the front. So the wire is kind of almost diagonal. Debbie says it looks very pretty. Thank you very much. And I'm just adding on 12. But you're going to get loads of crystals and 2 spools of your wire, your 0.8 and your 0.4. So you're going to be able to make these as long as you like. So I'm making sure these 2 wires, this 0.8, is running fairly close together. They're just going to be sitting essentially the width of those crystals. I don't want it splaying out too much into a V. I bring them back together after adding the first ones on. So that they run parallel. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 crystals. Round the back, in between, and then around the front. So now I'm going to just bring these 2 wires again together, and I'm going to use this 0.4, just like I did at the beginning, to wrap for about 1 centimetre. So every now and again I am just going to check that it's running flat. These aren't crossing over, but just by wrapping them together with that 0.4, it will bring this back together. So you're forming the ring band or the shank. Really straightforward, easy project. So I just want it to be the same on each end. Just checking that I've got that nice and taut. Using those 0.4mm wire strands as one. So I'm going to keep wrapping that round. So when I started the wrap at the beginning here, I wrapped for 1 centimetre, and I'm going to do the same on the other end. So I've got the same little wraps on each side. Again, just checking on the size of that, making sure my wraps are neat together so they're not crossing over each other. I'm just bringing it down and pushing it flat. When I'm happy with the length of the weave that I've got, I'm going to come in again and just trim. So just cut my tail ends off, and then with a pair of pliers, just gonna, any pliers will do, chain nose, even your nylon coated, just gonna compress that together so there's nothing sharp sticking up. Mina says it looks good, and I hope it'll be easy to make. It is very easy to make. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to check the length of these parts before I start to make little spirals. So before the weave, I started here at about 1.5 centimetres. I'm going to do the same on this. So you can see I'm just over 2 there. So I'm going to give it a little trim, just to make sure they're nice and even. So you should have something that looks like this. Now, if you want, you might find this looks prettier, where it comes in between the crystals. You might want that as your front, or this part where the crystals are 2 in between. It's entirely up to you on terms of preference. All I'm going to do now is just splay these ends out a little bit. And I'm going to turn these into little curls, so that's going to fit around the back of my finger and be rather comfortable. Camille says that looks like a nice thin brooch. You could do all sorts with this. Yes, Mina, I'm going to go through the bracelet with you just after this. It works exactly the same, but I'll tell you the difference in terms of length and how I've done the bracelet. So it's looking like this. I'm now going to get my round nose pliers out, and I'm going to make little swirls at each end. So I'm using the very tip of my round nose pliers. So it's going to be very, very small. Can I get a little bit of focus there? And I'm just going to give it a little turn in. So I'm turning that little loop all the way so it meets the inside of my curl. And to make very pretty spirals, my tip is, can you see this little bit here is straight? Just going to come in with my cutters and just trim off a tiny little bit. Then I'm going to come back in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to curl it in again so it touches itself. And then with my round nose pliers, I'm just going to give it a little turn all the way down to the bottom of that weave, and the same on the other side. So I'm going to curl it in the opposite direction so they're both facing out. The very tip of a round nose pliers, just to give it a curl in till that loop touches itself. Going to trim off. It's probably about 1 millimetre, if that, just to get rid of that little straight part. Back in with my round nose pliers all the way round, and the same on the other side. Round nose to the very, very tip, Give it a little turn till it touches itself. And this is going to ensure that my curls are nice and tightly coiled, that they're not going to catch on anything, they're not going to snag on anything. And I'm just going to curl it all the way around. And they'll also be fairly even on each end and each side as well, because I've measured that wire and I'm using the same point of my round nose pliers. So just trim off the little flap there. Good morning, Diane. How are you doing? Phoenix Creation says it would make a lovely kilt pin. You know, it's such an easy technique. There's so many things you can do with it. You know, I started off with a ring, then I was like, oh, I can make this into a bangle. Then I thought, actually, I could also make it into earrings. So I've just got this now. That's all I need to do before I start to shape it. Now, in terms of shaping it, if you've got a ring mandrel, then that's great. If you haven't, you can use your finger, anything cylindrical really. I'm just going to start to put a little bend in the middle of it. Not doing anything major. You'll see I'm just gently pushing with my fingers just to create that curve. So I start from the middle and I work myself right to the sides of those curls. And then you can also pop it on your finger and you can reshape that again if you need to adjust. So I'm going to show you on each finger so you can see. Obviously, my thumb is much thicker and wider than what I would usually wear a ring like this on the middle. So you can pop it as a thumb ring as well. And all it's going to do is if I just turn it round, you can see these bits here, not going to catch on anything because they're nicely coiled in, but they're just going to sit together so I can adjust that as I need to. So that is your ring, really straightforward, really easy to make. Reckon you can do that probably in about 15 minutes. This is the link. Thank you, Mina, for the kit today. So we are doing the Delia crystal bangle and rings as well. Phoenix Creation says, I think you need smaller beads for your hands and fingers, Nat. You could probably do this with a 3mm as well. I like the 4mm and it's comfortable. And what I've done is because I've woven this band here, the crystals tend to sit at the top of my finger. So I can close my hands quite easily. If you want to adjust it and put less crystals on, you can. So most of the shank will be where my hand closes. Do you know what I mean? So they're not going to be too chunky, but they're really, really pretty. And I think they make really perfect thumb rings as well. They're very, very comfortable. Patricia said, really stunning, Natalie. I already got the bundle, but I've also got 2 more kits because she loves them. Thank you so, so much. Camille says, your 15 minutes is my hour more like. Honestly, well, what time are we on now? It's 22. I'm going to show you how to make a bangle as well. I've already started this just to speed us up, but I will talk you through it all. So it's exactly the same as the ring. It's just larger. So for the bangle, I've got my 2 pieces of 0.8 wire and I've cut that to 10 inches each, which is about 25 centimeters. So I've taken my 0.8 and I've cut it to 25 centimeters, 2 lengths. For my 0.4 weaving wire, I've cut 24 inches, which is about 60 centimeters each. So you won't need any more, I wouldn't imagine, than 120 centimeters in total. So still 2 lengths of your 0.8. This time it's 25 centimeters long, whereas the ring was 10 centimeters each. So that's about 10 inches in length for each one. And then 60 centimeters or about 24 inches of your weaving wire for your bangle. Now, instead of starting where I did the ring, let's open this one out. When I started the ring, I started slightly upwards, about 1.5 centimetres from the end to make those curls. For this one, I've started wrapping about 4 centimetres up for the bangle. So I've taken the 0.8 and I've started my wraps 4 centimetres up. And I'm going to wrap for about 3 centimetres. But again, you can adjust that if you want to. If you want to make those curls smaller, you might need less. If you want to make the band woven longer, you can do. But I've woven it for about 3 centimetres. And I've done exactly the same method in terms of adding on my crystals, but I'm obviously going to add more crystals on for the bangle. So I'm adding on about 30 of my gorgeous crystal beads for this. So exactly the same method that you would do the ring. I'm sliding the first crystal on to the top, and then the next crystal going onto the bottom, giving it a little flip over just to check my position. I'm going to bring those 2 wires together next to each other, and it's going to sit in between those 2 crystals and then together down the front just to catch them in place, wrapping fairly tight, and then back up the top so it's ready for the next one. Sliding on the top crystal and the bottom. Keeping these together, you can see they've crossed over there, so I'm just repositioning and I'm moving them as one. And up to the top. So my 0.8 base wires are still running parallel next to each other. I've got about 25 centimetres each on those, and I'm using my 0.4 weaving wire, which is about 60 centimetres each, as one length of wire still. And now because I've wrapped here for about 3 centimetres, I'm going to wrap here for 3 centimetres as well. So I'm going to keep these wires together and I'm going to bring that 0.4 right around it. Just going to keep wrapping, and that's going to bring the ends of my bangle together and join them nice and tightly. So you just want to make sure, if you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter, you can do whichever is your dominant. I'll do it this way just to show you if you want to do it in the other direction. So I'm keeping those 2 wires running together, bringing it over, just pushing it round with my finger, keeping them flat, making sure that these base wires don't cross over as well, because this will give you your kind of sturdy frame. Swap back over, just give it a little look, make sure that they're in position. So I'm not using any tools here, just checking they're not crossed. They've crossed over slightly, so if it happens, just move it back into place. Take your time with it. So it's going up the back, down the front, and again, if you want to, you can give that a little compression just to flatten it out. You can see. Oh, thank you, Lorraine. She says this looks lovely. Thank you for joining us. So I'm bringing them up and over, around the back, over the top, just using those 2 lengths of 0.4 wire as one wire, using them simultaneously together, very gently, but making sure my wraps are nice and firm and tight. I can hold this up to the camera. You can see that's not crossing over. It's just sitting neatly next to each other. Bring it round and over, round and over. So whichever length I started with here, I want to add onto here as well. So I've done it for 3 centimeters. So I'm just going to keep going with that. Push it with my finger, bring it over the top. And just keep checking that these 2 wires don't cross and that they're sitting neatly next to each other. Hi Natalie, she says, hi Natalie from Nat in Colchester. I'm late to the live, but we'll watch again later. That's no problem. As soon as I've finished, you'll be able to catch up on YouTube. You can also watch it on the video tutorial section at any point on the TotallyBeads webpage, and we'll also share it in the handmade group. I'll share it on my Natalie Pattern Wire Artist page, and I've also got a playlist, Nat Pattern, on YouTube that I share all my makes. So lots of different ways to catch up. I'm just going to measure this against my ruler. So I'm at 2.5 centimeters now. So I'm just going to keep going with that, bringing them together, checking they're not crossing over, around the back, around the front. So I'm just coiling. When I'm happy with the length that I've got, I'm going to bring those 2 tail ends over the front. I'm going to trim off. So I'm trying to trim just a little bit. I'll do it in little bits, little sections. So if you can see, my wire now finishes just on top, fairly central, so it's not hanging over the edge. I can just squish that down with any pliers that I want just to compress it. And I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to check here. I started at 4 centimeters from the end. So I want 4 centimeters from the end of this weave as well. So if I've got a little bit extra, just going to trim them off together. And that way my curls are going to be the same on either side. So once I've added on my crystals and I've done my wraps, just going to open up the ends. Like so. And I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to make larger spirals on this one, but I'm using the same technique. So I'm curling round so it touches itself. I'm going to trim off a teeny tiny bit of that flat part. Camille says it's great watching on YouTube as you can pause it and then carry on till you're done. Yeah, always the joy. You can't pause a live, can you? And then going to keep bringing that round. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap pliers. So what I'm doing is, because if I keep curling this round for a length of time, it will start to curl up on itself. If I take my chain nose pliers or my nylon coated and I just hold on to that curl and then start to turn it in, what that will do is that will create my spiral going outwards instead of on top of itself. So I'm keeping it nice and tight. Again, I don't want that to be catching on anything. I want a nice tight curl. Don't want it too loose. And then again, I'm curling it in the opposite direction. So if it's easier, just flip it over. Round nose in right to the tip. So it touches onto itself. I always find by just trimming that tiny little bit off, it just creates a very neat curl. Bring it back in. Start to form that curl. Hold over it with my pliers. So I'm just making little flicks of my wrist just to turn that in, holding it in place, keeping those curls fairly tight. Morning Sharon, how are you doing? Again, onto the opposite end. Curling it over. Teeny tiny trim. Didn't hold on to that bit, so I don't know where that flew off to. Back in with the round nose. Curl it into itself. You can keep curling it with the round nose. I just want to make sure that that spirals outwards, if that makes sense. So that curl gets larger, that spiral gets larger as it forms itself around. And then the last one, again, flip it if it's easier. Turning right at the tip of my round nose pliers. So that curl touches inwards towards that wire. And then back in with the round nose, just to keep that spiral going. So I'm holding on to the curl and I'm just giving little motions. Little flicks until I've curled it all the way down to the wrap. So again, it's looking like this, just like the ring did, just longer. And now I'm going to start to form and shape that. Now, if you've got a bracelet mandrel, that's great. I don't. So what I tend to use is I'll tend to use a little glass, like a little tumbler or something. Anything round will do. You can just shape it with your fingers and you can shape it directly onto your wrist. Bear in mind, your wrists are not perfectly round. They are more oval shape. But I do tend to shape it on something round. You'll see I've got this very high-tech piece of equipment here. It's a child's wooden toy of beans. I was debating to use the jam today, but I've got for this one. I like it because it's a nice, sturdy, solid shape. So you don't have to have anything expensive. A glass out the cupboard will do. Starting in the centre, and I'm just moulding it round with my fingers. The wire's nice and malleable. So I've created that shape. And then I can now adjust that as I go to my wrist. So I'm just going to give it a little press together. And that will hold its shape. I'm going to do my ring again because I opened it up just to show you. You can open this out and in, you know, it's fairly flexible. In fact, I'll pop them on the same one together so you can see how it looks as a little set. So there is my ring and my bracelet. Really, really straightforward. And I am bob on time. We've got 5 minutes to go. So I will kind of talk you through actually how I'd probably do an earring as well. So I would probably make my ring. I'd use probably less beads. So how many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would curl it up together. And then instead of having these going flat like this bit, what I would do is I would just get my pliers and I would just bend them little loops up so they kind of touch and form together. Have I got any jump rings to hand? Let me see, do bear with me. Let's go into my stash. They might not be a perfectly matching colour here. So I've put pushed these up together. I haven't curled this too much, just made one curl on it. Debbie says, Natalie, would you hammer the ends of the bracelet to help keep them right, or is it okay without? I haven't done for any of mine. You could do. All I would say, Debbie, is probably just hammer the curls. If you hammer the woven section here, what might happen is you might break that weaving wire. I haven't needed it, to be honest, but you could do, and that will probably harden it. So I've not put too many swirly curls on this. I've just curled it once round each other. I haven't tried this, so I don't know if it's going to work, but you know, the joys of alive. Let's just give it a go and experiment together. I'm going to get a couple of jump rings out, and I'm going to open up my jump ring. I've got a 6mm jump ring here. I think that should do. And I'm sliding that through both of those little loops and closing it over. And I'm going to do the same on the other side as well. So those 2 loops I've created at the end of the ring, sitting next to each other, just going to pop my jump rings through. So I've got 2 jump rings hanging off. I might even take another one. We could probably just put the e-ring hook through that, but let's see how it looks with another. Don't know if I have got an e-ring hook to hand, but it's silver, it's not gold. Opening up this one, and let's attach those 2 jump rings. So okay. I mean, you could probably just form the ends differently, but I think that's looking quite pretty actually. Then I would take my e-ring hook. Do forgive me for not having the right colour matching. And I would attach my e-ring hook onto that jump ring. So I would have a little e-ring hoop. I mean, you could do whatever with that top bit. That's just me thinking on my feet. But it would be exactly the same kind of process. Camille says, of course it will work. You're Natalie. Do you know what, Camille? I mean, how long have I been doing a live for now? It's been about a year almost. If you'd have told me, like, on my first lives, can you just try doing this? I'd have gone, no. I need to have a try and make sure everything's perfect before I go live. And now I'm like, let's just try this, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, well, we'll all have a laugh at my failed attempt. All right, let's see what it looks like in. They're quite sweet. Little dangly. I'd probably maybe change the top. Maybe I could do a little wrapped loop and just directly attach it to the e-ring hook and bring those ends together. But as I'd made a ring, I thought I'd just try and change it. Oh, thank you, Irina. That's really, really pretty of you. Really kind, thank you. So I've got my bangle, my ring. If you're getting your kits today, you're going to be able to make 2 sets, so 2 rings and 2 bangles up of the Delia Crystal bangle and ring kit for £6.50. You could even make a little e-ring or a pin brooch or whatever it is that you fancy. Lots of people were coming up with lots of different suggestions. I will take this out because I've only made one and I'll probably forget and be wandering around later on with just the one e-ring in, so we'll take that out. Gorgeous little sets for you today, really straightforward to do. £6.50 for your kit. You can choose from baby blue, baby pink AB, lavender, opal sea, root beer and spring green as well. Or you can get that lovely 4mm crystal bead mix pack for just £9.99, which is heavily discounted from £15. So definitely worth the kit price, I think, today. And if you're, wanting to make extras in different colours, then get that as well. Thank you for being with me today. Camille says, thank you, Nan. Have a nice day, everyone, and take care. I hope I haven't missed any questions that you may have asked. Camille's asking, what am I making on Friday? Do you know what? I did know. And then me and Kitty swapped about quite a few of the lives. And now I'm not too sure at all. It's going to be something lovely. I've kind of pretty much, I think I'm done now, like in terms of what I've scheduled up to the end of May. So I'm rather proud of myself, but what I'm doing in what order, I couldn't really tell you. So sorry, I can't answer that question. Any other questions, drop me a comment on wherever you're watching this from, and I will try and find it and answer it for you. Lorraine, you're most welcome. So thank you all for being with me. I hope you have a lovely, lovely week, and I will see you on Friday. Not sure doing what, but I'll definitely be here, and I hope you will be as well. So take